What happens when you fall in love with someone or something that cannot love you back? And you're loving something that's beautiful, but fake. Its heart is hard, made of concrete. Like the Japanese men who marry their sex dolls, or groupies who spend years following around rock stars like Elvis fans or cult followers, or even people in churches who worship their pastors or gurus. This is called idolatry, and it means loving something fake that can't love you back, but you live off the fantasy that it does or that one day it will. Why would you want something perfect rather than something real? It's because you're not willing to settle for something imperfect, even if it's real. So idolatry actually masks a deep fear of getting hurt. Real things can hurt you. They ask you to improve yourself. They want you to change, grow up, mature, be an adult, act responsibly. And they want you to do the hard work of becoming a wise human being who understands deeper life lessons. That's what real things do. But the exact opposite of that is not getting hurt, never having to improve yourself. You don't have to change, you don't have to grow up, you can stay immature forever like a teenager, you can party, you don't have any responsibilities, you don't have to do any work or understand anything, you can be superficial, silly, and play your whole life. And most of all, you can be fat, lazy, old, ugly, poor, it doesn't matter, because you never have to go to the gym or exercise or hold down a job or pay a mortgage or even shower, because your idol, since it's plastic or silicone anyways, is never going to notice. Your idol's going to love you the way that you are. So people who have idols are immature in their relationships. In fact, they're infantile. They have fantasies that they can remain an infant forever and never have to grow up. And you're thinking like, wow, who's like that? Who does that? Well, I mean, if you're tempted to label them as weirdos, then just think there's like 125 million readers of the runaway bestseller 50 Shades of Grey, or the millions of groupies or members of cults or fans of porn stars. So you can have normal, healthy relationships in your life with your kids, your family, your spouse, your friends, but your one indulgence, your one unhealthy, toxic, fetish relationship is this relationship you have with your idol. It's like where all your vices get to play themselves out, like in this one little nasty connection you have with your idol. So the rest of your life remains clean. Think of idolatry as the sewage drain for the rest of your relationships. And so it's kind of like where you get to act out your dark side. And so even if we have super healthy relationships in our life, we might have just that one relationship of idolatry. Now, porn is the ultimate embodiment of idolatry. And the typical porn star is completely giving, nurturing, and loving, asks nothing from you, but just wants to shove a breast or a genital in your mouth, which is basically synonymous with the act of breastfeeding and having a nipple in your mouth when you were a newborn baby. So people who are attracted to idolatry most likely were not coddled or cuddled or mothered when they were babies. And without that coddling when they're newborn, they grow up with this need to be unconditionally loved and served, to be helpless and swoon into the arms of their caretaker. They want someone to do everything for them while they do absolutely nothing but lie there. So your idol represents the ultimate primary caretaker the mother, and the abundant, overflowing cup that runs over with resources like youth and sexuality and power and money, this God that's going to give you everything without you having to lift a finger. Now, I've had a lot of rich male clients who date supermodels, and they say the same thing about supermodels, that these super hot women, that when they're having sex with them, the women just sort of lay there like dead fish. They don't do anything. There's like zero response. And so I ask my rich male clients, I'm like, really? Like, they don't move? They don't make any noise or anything? And they're like, no, never. They don't even make eye contact. And I'm like, well, like, why do you think that is? And they answer, well, that the women are so used to being serviced because they're beautiful. And the catch-22 of being an idol is that even if the women did something, it really wouldn't matter. And I think the women know that if you're an idol, if you do nothing or you do everything, no one cares because you're an idol. You're not real. You're fake anyways. So you might as well just lay there because no one can see past their fantasy of who you are. Now, the whole point of making this video is to give you insight into why people marry their sex dolls, or why they faint when they meet their celebrity crush, or spend years following a religious cult leader. Now, if you do that, or you know somebody who indulges in that fantasy, it seems fun, but it's not healthy, and here's why. The reason that you're doing that is because what you really crave is unconditional love that you didn't get when you were an infant. And the more you do it, the lower your self-esteem will become, and the more infantile your mind is going to develop, and you're no longer going to be compatible with an adult human mate. You're going to turn into an aging baby who whines, cries, poops in his pants, and you don't want to be that person. And I understand that you have a deep and a very real fear of having to do the hard work of growing up all on your own with no support, no adult to mentor you, no one to guide you. And it's freaking you out. But in your mind, when you think about having to live your life without your idol, I know that in your head you can hear yourself screaming and screeching at the top of your lungs, no, I will die. No one's going to take care of me. I can't do it. I'm going to suffocate. I'm going to drown. And that's the same wailing you hear of a baby crying and screaming. And that's the inner scream you hear inside of your soul. If I try to take your idol away from you, you'll literally die of a broken heart. It's an incredible level of pain. Now, in the documentary film about Dian Fossey, Gorillas in the Mist, a baby gorilla watches her mother being murdered. And then the baby gorilla is kidnapped and stuffed into a dark, cold crate alone. That's how you feel. And I think someone did that to you early in your life. They ripped you from your mother's breast, and the protective, loving gaze of your father was gone, and you were forced to live your life as a starving orphan in a very cruel world. And that's an incredible level of pain that you're dealing with. Here's what I suggest. You need to feel loved. And you can hire a professional hugger. probably, right now, coronavirus is not the good time, but when it passes, a professional hugger charges about $75 an hour, and they will hug you and hold you. You can practice yin yoga, that's another way. Or I highly suggest that you get a pet that you can cuddle with. And you can also volunteer to hold babies who are born drug addicted in hospitals, and you can volunteer to hold them for an hour while they shake and then they tweak. But you need to be held by animals, by pillows, by people. You need to hold others, and I suggest that you be held by all of those things. And I also believe that you might have been born into an unfortunate circumstances where you were not held, because now God is asking you to hold someone else. And I think the world deeply needs you to hold them, and that you're a holder. You're somebody who holds others, not through idolatry from a distance, but up close, through flesh, fur, feathers, and soil. Gardening's a wonderful way of touching and holding the earth. Now, back to Nigel, the gamut. I know Nigel thinks that he genuinely loves a concrete bird, but the truth is this, that Nigel, real love is mutual, and it flows in both directions. It goes two ways. And if your love is only one way, it's not real love, it's idolatry. One-way love is like throwing cash into the ocean. It never comes back to you. But true love has the ability to grow and to heal. And when you love something real, like a pet, a flower, a person, platonically, not sexually, then that love becomes healing. And that love will make you more attractive to other people. You'll stop seeming weird to other people. And I kid you not, having pets, gardening, doing any kind of charity or volunteer work, engaging in meaningful and platonic relationships with people will make you more attractive and approachable. Idolatry is death, and death begets death. Loving platonically begets relationships, begets life, and life begets life. So remember, get a pet, volunteer at the Humane Society or anywhere else and garden. And these things will make you seem less weird to other people and appear more attractive. Thanks for watching my video.